Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Creative Critique, in which this is a Disney animated special. I've done animation specials before, I've even done a Pixar special before, but this is my first standalone Disney special. And the film in question that is my theatrical release film of the week is of course the newest feature from Disney Animated Studios, and that film is Zootropolis. Or if you're in the rest of the world, generally, it's Zootopia. That's a kind of a weird one. Apparently, we get in Europe get Zootropolis, but the rest of the world seems to get Zootopia. Okay, Zootopia would have been fine, but okay. Zootropolis is my theatrical release film of the week. So, what's the film centered around? The film centers around a world populated by anthropomorphic animals. Our main character features is a rabbit called Judy Hopps, who has aspirations of being the first ever rabbit cop, or buddy cop, if you will. So, in the big city of Zootropolis. I'm gonna keep saying Zootropolis because that's the UK one, because that's where I am based. So yes, so we have a little bit of segment at the beginning of the film where we show over a child standing up for children, and so it gives us sort of a sense of her character and well-being and how she wants to help other individuals, other animals about going completely against her species in a sense, being obviously a herbivore. So yes, like I say, it's focused on her wanting to be the first rabbit cop. She gets to the big city. And what a city this is, by the way. It's very rare, and I think, you know what, I think Disney at the moment, because their last film was Big Hero 6, they have got something going on extremely fantastically at the moment with designing their cities, because I brung up, when I did my own review of Big Hero 6, about how fantastic the city in Big Hero 6 looked and was designed. I think it was San Francisco, was it? San Francisco, I think it may have been, but it was obviously it was a morph of those two cities into that world. In this instance, the city of Zootropolis is a city populated, like I say, by anthropomorphic animals, and no animal is not catered for. So, for example, on the train and the tube, you have doors for the big animals, and you have doors for the little animals as well. So it's been extremely well thought out of in this world that has been designed to great comic effects. Because pretty much for the first sort of as she enters this city, you're probably having about at least 5 minutes of them just looking around and seeing what is going on. Generally, you could be looking at any moment while she's walking around in the city, and something funny or something entertaining or something extremely well designed will be on show for you to observe. Fabulously visual gags on play, like I said, some fabulously stuff. She very quickly gets into the police station because she is qualified to be the first rabbit cop. But her chief is played by Idris Elba. Nice little bit of casting there going on there. Great TV detective, of course. So her chief is Idris Elba, who is he a buffalo or a bison? I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a few weeks since I've seen it. But he got a nice sort of tone to his voice, of course, and gives a decent performance, Idris Elba. It's very quickly she gets put on parking duty. Some other brilliant gags going on before this, in this meeting where they all have, we got an elephant in the room, but I won't go into that. But yeah, she's kind of sort of pushed to one side to be, like I say, a traffic cop, so it's sort of demeaning to her. She obviously wants to catch criminals and be quite a more accomplished cop. In doing so, she sort of goes off her sort of parking duties and turns to chase a criminal. And this is the first bit of the film where I was like, yes, this is, oh my god, this is quite exhilarating, quite fantastic. It's a chase regarding chasing a weasel who's stolen something from a shop, and it's them chasing, it's her chasing him through actually some sort of mini rodent world. And the visual gags are just outstanding. And I was just watching going, this is fantastic. This is brilliant to observe. The fast-paced nature of it, the quick comedic gags, it was greatly animated, so it's a great sequence. She obviously gets in trouble for this instance, Excuse me. Sorry about that. Extremely sorry about that. So she gets in trouble for this instance and is about to effectively be demoted or thrown from the force until she gets sort of highlighted as being quite, by the mayor's assistant, who's played by a sheep and played by Jenny Slate, I think it is, as being quite a hero, and gets sort of on the side of sort of the mayoral political side. So suddenly she manages to get a case where they're looking after missing animals, and this is where we come to the forefront of the story, because a lot of the trailers didn't really show this aspect of the initial story. Regarding the fact that there's particularly, it's 90%, is it carnivores? It's carnivores are going missing in the city of Zootropolis with no reason, no explanation whatsoever. Yes. To go into a particular parts of that sort of ongoing story will probably spoil a little bit, so I won't. But then she effectively gets part of this case where she's asked to find an otter. So she pursues this line of inquiry with an individual who she encountered early in the story, who was played by Jason Bateman, Jason Bateman, who plays a fox, a wily fox, who is a bit of a street con artist and manages to scam these citizens of Zootropolis. She sort of uses certain things to her knowledge, to her advantage. We get in turns to get him on her side and helping her solve this case. It's like it's been described as it becomes a buddy movie, sort of not Cheech and Chong, yin and yang, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's that sort of like, it is a completely buddy cop movie, and this is the part of the story now I really like, because it goes a very sort of detective sort of style and proper, like, there's so many influences of film noir in this. It's incredible. There's encounters with big gang bosses. There's ventures into different parts of the city, whether it be like the Antarctic part of the city or even parts of the jungle part of the city, where you feel like it is. And somebody mentioned this, and I'm going to steal it completely because it is. Oh my god, yeah! There's so many things about it that remind you of Chinatown, and only an adult audience, of course, are going to get that sort of thing. But this is why, in part, it's probably appealing to such a more adult audience, and an adult audience and critics are rather liking it even more than just beyond the appeal to kids generally. So some fantastic influences are taking place in this film regarding it. Like I say, the film noir sort of thing, as Chinatown is an exemplary, a good example of that. But that's not to say there's nothing for children at all. It's extremely bright and it's extremely colourful. In part, you can see more influences in part, not from particularly Disney animated, but from more from DreamWorks sort of animation, in the way that they make it a bit more, don't know, jump out at you a bit more, just jump out at you a bit more and be a bit more flashy and a bit more colourful, and yeah. So there's definitely, like I say, it feels less like a Disney film and more like a DreamWorks meets film noir, if that makes any sense. But that's not to say that Disney aren't having an influence, and let's face it, in the last sort of 6 years or so, the actual Disney animated part of the studio has probably made a much better production of putting films out there rather than Pixar. They've redeemed themselves last year, without a doubt, Pixar with Inside Out, but with the angles of this story is going down, there's stuff that actually, from what I've heard of people talking about it, actually kids have actually cottoned onto it as well, regarding things like different species getting on. So it's sort of in part about how different cultures get on and how different races get on, and how things can be perceived by the media and things like that. And let's face it, what's going on in the world right now, media-wise, and particularly in the American presidential races, this is an extremely relevant and extremely important film to witness right this very moment in time. So kudos to Disney for going down this angle, because it's quite a heavy angle. In part, I'll say, I actually thought they probably could have done a little bit more with it. But I suppose when you're trying to combine the aspect of adult and kids animation together, there's a certain point where you've got to stand and stop going towards an adult angle and reel back a little bit. As an adult viewer, I was a little bit, not disappointed, but no, I'll go with disappointed a little bit. Regarding that, because I thought, oh, this could go in some really, really interesting angles, but it's had to remember what type of film it was. But there was certain stuff they were going for that were extremely brave and extremely well done. It was extremely well done. So yeah. some great voice work, particularly by Jennifer Goodwin, who plays Judy Hopps. There's some great, like I say, some great comedic moments regarding a mafia boss, and there's also a trip to the DMV featuring sloths. And it's, at first I thought, right, okay, this is going to be a bit okay, right, I get it, they're slow, DMV is slow, but it's the how they use that. It's how they use it. It's not the actual fact that it's slow. It's how they use it in a comedic purpose, and it was fantastic. It was the section where this bit can't get any funnier. Oh my god, it has got so much funnier. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. So it's some extremely great comedic moments. When it's really funny, it's really funny. There's certain bits I thought, okay, it could be doing a bit more there. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it's absolutely perfect as a film. I think in terms of, it needed to be a little bit funny in sort of the down moments, and I must say there's a little bit not of editing, because it's obviously not that sort of thing. It's more about story structure, and there's a bit in the film where I thought this is just suddenly not lost me, but it kind of it was, I don't know, the momentum went a little bit, and it didn't quite get it back until something seriously happened again. A little bit of momentum lost, but it wasn't to the whole completely detriment to the film. And I will say, I think at the ending, it kind of finishes a little bit quick. Yeah, I won't go any more into that, but there's some really nice voice work in the film. What's more important is how the story plays out regarding, like I've already discussed, obviously the film noirness of it, and also of particular issues involved regarding how different cultures get on in different species and different races and things like that. That's a topic for discussion that is rarely treaded upon within a kids animation. So, as I say, is you've got to give credit to Disney for doing that sort of thing, because it could have just completely backfired, but they've managed to just about combine the two extremely well. Those two audiences, great stuff. I'm going to stop talking because I've talked about that film for 12 minutes. So, Zootropolis or Zootopia, if you live in the general North America. It was my theatrical release film of the week. So there we go. I really did enjoy it. Little bits, I thought, okay, done a bit more, but generally really entertaining and really well put together film. So my classic film of the week, as I've said before, it's a Disney animated special. What you got to do here is go back to 1937, and what are we talking about? Of course, we're talking about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and the first ever Disney theatrically released film, and the first ever feature film of animated feature film to be released. One of the most successful, of course, given and you've got to remember, in the pantheon of how this film stands, this is one of the most important films in cinema history. There is no doubt about that, because it's been debated a lot. Obviously, this was a massive risk for Disney, Walt Disney, when he made this, or was even contemplating making it, because this could have destroyed the studio. This could have destroyed the studio, and that could have been it. But it was extremely well received. It was an extremely entertaining film for the time. And of all the people who sort of talk about Disney and think, oh, Disney is so sweet, and isn't it so fluffy and so forth, and there's moments in this film that are so dark, aren't there? And yes, of course, the witch transformation is one of them. And there's generally the bit where Snow White's running into the forest, and it's if you're a kid watching that, I think that's a little bit terrifying. I remember thinking, this is cool, bloody hell, this is quite heavy, maybe for kids. But I've always debated the fact that kids like to be scared, or it's something that should be sort of introduced in that sort of environment, and maybe in an animated environment is the best sort of thing to do for them. And of course, Snow White is from a Brothers Grimm story, so come on, there's got to be some sort of influence of that sort of dark-natured fairy tale, and there is. It is beautifully animated. There's the movement of the animals in particular, and the rapidness of certain things going on. And considering this is the first ever feature-length film of an animated feature, it's just fabulous, isn't it? It's just fabulously animated. The way the animals move, like I say, there's something about how they're creeping into the house after Snow White, and again with the dwarves, and again with how each individually drawn, individually designed, and give each other personal features, and each one is memorable in their own way. Let's talk about the music, because now Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is not one of my favourite musical features, without a doubt, but having watched it last week, now obviously Whistle While You Work song is the most famous song, maybe obviously with with Hi Ho as well. But Whistle While You Work. I'm not lying. I'm seriously not lying here. As that film was about to start and the birds going and whistle while you work, and that bit, just as the back of the bird is doing that little tune, I got a shiver up my spine, and I didn't quite expect that to happen because it was. I think it's such an important moment in film and animated musical and just general film history. It's an iconic moment, and I felt it. There we go, I felt it. So, some great musical segments, like I say, obviously, with Hi Ho and the Dwarfs as well. You remember those, let's face it, you remember those two songs. They are fantastic theatrically released animated songs, and remain in the pantheon of great Disney songs and sing-alongs. So, great music to it, and obviously there's certain parts of the film where it will have dated, but that's part of the time, and let's look at it, right now they're trying to update, aren't they, with live versions of Snow White, and what is out at the moment is The Huntsman, isn't it? Which they're not quite getting the sort of response you probably would like to expect from the sort of adaptation of a classic film, maybe. I've not seen it myself, so I can't comment on the quality, but that's what I'm hearing. So, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, what can you say about a film that is, how old is it? 30, 60, 70, like 80 years old, is it? 60, 70, 80 years old about? Flipping it, you know what I mean? It's an important film, and to a certain degree, it certainly still holds up fantastically well. Yeah, there we go. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is my classic, I must say, I always say this, classic, an absolute classic, isn't it? Considering its role in cinema history. There we go. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. My favourite review of this film, of course, was Zootropolis or Zootopia. Call it what you want. I've given up. So there we go. That was my edition this week, the Disney animated special. I do hope you've enjoyed what I've had to say. If you have, do please just subscribe to me. And I do hope to see and speak to you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.